What's going on? I'm Zedmot. Dev video number 2 has just dropped. Now, I have had the privilege of being able to watch it for the past few days, trying to wrap my mind around it, thinking critically, sleeping on it, trying to get emotion out of this and just see the things that excite me and the things that I am looking forward to, and do some research into things like Clash of Clans. I know nothing about Clash of Clans, so I had to do a bunch of research into the wikis and watching YouTube and talking to people, and there's some stuff here. Now, obviously, the biggest parallel people keep drawing is between the Night Base and the Warships. We don't know if that's actually going to be the case or not. Maybe they're going to use it as inspiration, but the Night Base in Clash of Clans had a fairly lukewarm reception from what I've been able to figure out, so I'm really hoping that they've learned from its mistakes, or maybe it's nothing the same at all. Like, live PvP obviously gets people thinking Night Base and ladder systems and tournaments and all that sort of stuff, but we don't know what's coming. So this dev video gave us a bit of a sneak peek, a bit of more information, but it didn't provide a heck of a lot. Now, I was asked not to play the whole video in its entirety, so if you want to watch it, go to youtube.com/boombeach. They've got it there. I've just cut it up into some sound bites, some sections, and some details that excited me or didn't excite me, and we're going to talk about them bit by bit. And if I make a mistake or screw up or don't talk about something that's obvious, please do point it out, and please do give Supercell a lot of feedback on both here in the comments and on their official page. But without further ado, I'm going to show you the bit that got me most excited, the part that I really wanted to hear, and that is them talking about Task Force versus Task Force. This soundbite right here is exactly what the community has needed for a long, long time.
The first version that comes out early next year is going to be this foundation version, which is going to be a lot of fun and eventually bring it to a level where we can have task forces versus task forces, where you have many warships fighting many warships and really cool things like that. And it just opens up a whole new world for us.
Now, obviously, he said the magic words, and that is Task Force versus Task Force. We've all been waiting for Task Force versus Task Force for a long, long time. People are clamoring for it. We want Task Force versus Task Force. And they've said, yes, they're working towards it, which is great. But one other key phrase that he said in that sentence is the words early 2019. In every video they've released, they have said early 2019, and that gives me a lot of hope that it's not going to be July or August or even June or May. Early 2019 is still being used in their terminology or their phrasing, so I'm really hopeful for March or April at the very, very latest. And so I'm going to be listening for that phrase. Hopefully you guys are doing the same thing. But again, Task Force versus Task Force should be very, very, very good for the game, and they're something that they're building towards. So it's not just about Warships when it first drops, it's also that they're actually building towards something exciting, something the community wants. So it's all good stuff in my books, and I think that we could be moving in the right direction as long as it's not just them talking, saying things we want to hear, obviously. So now, moving on to the next thing, I'm curious if Chicken actually noticed this or not. There's actually a chicken in the back of the Warships video, probably the Heyday chicken, but maybe it's a shout out to Mr. Chicken, the Boom Beach / Brawl Stars chicken. Who knows? Don't really know. Now, the next bit was something that really, really I was sort of excited about, and the reason for that is that they talk about choices, and I'm going to let them use their words on that.
Now has the same island, and you've got the same troops, and depending on your HQ level, the number of weapons you have on your island are pretty much the same, and it doesn't create for too much of strategy in a real PvP scenario. So we thought the best way to go about doing this was to create like a second base, which would be like the center for PvP in Boom Beach.
Now that to me is something that could be very, very exciting. They're talking about the fact that we all have the same base, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to have different number of rocket launchers, or different number of machine guns, different number of mines, for example. That sounds pretty exciting to me, because sounds like you're gonna have to make choices. Whether that, kind of like in those games where you have to like spend your upgrades on dexterity or strength or whatever. And I think that could go very, very well in the fact that people will have to make choices. We'll have to have discussions like, oh, should I take a second shock launcher or should I get 6 extra mines? And that sounds kind of neat to me, kind of interesting. I think it could be kind of neat as far as just the options given to us and maybe we can close part of our base off, or we can build a ramp or close a ramp or something along those lines. I think all of those sorts of options could be very, very cool. And I'm maybe that's not even what they meant, but the fact that they talked about choices and how everyone has the same base right now and all of that sort of good stuff just makes me think that maybe we're going to be able to make our bases different than everyone else. And I'm going to show you what I mean. They talk about it a little bit differently here.
The Warship is going to be exclusively focused on attacking and defending, so there's not going to be any resource generation buildings. It's more about really core of Boom Beach, which is the attacking and defending and getting to the fun part.
You just go fight, and once you get enough resources from fighting, you go back and you build your base, you upgrade stuff, and then you go out and you fight again.
Now I just want to interrupt here quickly. This is clearly a dev video. This is dev footage. This is not something that's ready for production quite yet. If you look here, we don't actually have any troops listed. We also don't have any GBE abilities, which makes me sort of nervous. We don't have we don't know if this is a replay or if what's going on. And most of all, just watch this power cell right here. I got a chuckle out of this. Watch this power cell. The Zookas shoot at it for like 10 seconds and 0 damage is done to it whatsoever. So let's just watch this here.
And we want to keep the whole experience all about the base building and the fighting, because the main island there is this whole layer of resource collection and timers and things like that. So here it's just about fighting.
Now, the fact that it's just about fighting is pretty cool. I'm excited about that. Now, one of the things they've alluded to is all these choices and building things and building your warship. Now, when they say building your warship, I noticed that there's all of these sorts of areas that are not built on the warship, and they're in different locations. And you'll notice here, like this area is slightly different than the other one. So maybe, just maybe, we have the option to build our warship. Now, building a warship or building a base is not something that haven't done already. Like on a basic base, you have to clear all the trees and stones and stuff like that. So that's not super groundbreaking. Maybe, just maybe, we can funnel troops though. And one of the coolest ways that I saw in this whole thing about funneling troops is, if you notice, they have the exact same warship with slightly different ramps. So maybe we can close down the ramps, we can build different areas, funnel troops through not building. That could be a very, very interesting choice. Now, if they're going to give us all of these choices and talk about building warships and building our bases and making them different, I really, really hope they implement a proper, good base builder, a way to design your base without having to move things around in the current awkward way that we're stuck with right now. I have this troop loading screen, which we don't know a heck of a lot about. In Clash of Clans, your troops reload automatically, I understand, and it shows that we're dropping 5 of our available Scorchers, or 3 of our available Scorchers, so those kind of loading screens seem interesting. I'll just play it one more time here, and the reason why I wanted to show it is, you'll see that it's got the Find Opponent at the bottom. So in Clash of Clans, I believe you hit attack, and then you choose your troops, so it looks like we're going to be choosing our troops before we attack, which I think is different than other games that like Clash of Clans or whatever, or Clash Royale even. So that could be interesting. It could be something that is different and exciting and new. But again, just little tidbits here and there. Now, this is the part that I was not a huge fan of. They talk about why it's an island or why it's not an island. And this part, I did not like this part of the video at all.
Like, it looks really nice. It's a big mechanical island of sorts, and it fits very well with the whole theme of the game.
Yeah, it makes sense. Why would there be another island for this? A warship that guards your archipelago, that's what the game needs.
Now, in the very beginning of the videos, they called it a base. Let's be honest. Whether it's an island or a warship or whatever, it's a base. It doesn't matter if it's a warship or not. I mean, it's kind of cool that they have brought the ship thing into it, and you can, rather than cutting down trees, you're closing up parts of the ramps or something like that. But it's just a second base. That's the basics, fundamentals of it. That might be some PR talk or design talk or something like that. Maybe there's a designer that gets super excited about it being a warship, and if so, that's great. But it's just a second base. Anyways, this is something that I'm excited about. I think this could go very, very well. It could also be terrible. So if you have thoughts or ideas, please do let me know. But I really think this is just a segue into the next video, and I really do hope that next video comes out soon. So again, please do hit me up in the comments. And if not my comments, please go to youtube.com/boombeach and leave some well-worded, well-written feedback in their comments as well. Anyways, that's it for me. This is Zedmont talking about Warships dev video number 2. Anyways, thanks for coming in. Peace.